One more scripture. Another scripture I want to go over is Deuteronomy 32. It still has to do with the same topic we're on. Somewhat the same topic we're on, the God topic. Well, like I said, the word eponymous means a person that gave his name to, let's say, a group of people like Jacob. His name changed to Israel, and Israel, then you have Israelites, and you have Goth, and you have the Gothic people. Since these people, they worship that guy, Goth, and their mind is really the creator, he's the God, he's the Heavenly Father, and by them naming themselves after that thing, that also makes them God's people and their philosophy. Just like Israelites say, look, we are God's people, and we got our laws that came from the Most High. The Gothic people, they believe in the same thing, where they call themselves Visigoth, like I already explained in the other video, Astrogoth from Goth. So now I'm gonna go to Deuteronomy 32 verse 8. That kind of somewhat explain that way of thinking, that mentality of people having eponymous ancestry. So it says, when the Most High divided the nations, their inheritance. That's Deuteronomy 32 verse 8. Deuteronomy 32 verse 8. When the Most High divided the nations, their inheritance, when he separated the sons of Adam, he set the bounds of the people according to the number of the children of Israel. That verse, I've heard it a million times being broken down. I've heard it a million times being broken down by people. And wow, I think when you read this, especially you read in the King James Version, I can see why they had that type of understanding. You know, when you analyze this verse right there, when the Most High divided to the nations their inheritance, when he separated the sons of Adam. Okay, so far all this straightforward. So now it's telling you, in the beginning, when the Most High separated, every nation, you go here, you go there, this is your inheritance, which means the Most High does believe in having everybody, have their own little territory here. This is your part, you stay over here. This is your part, you stay over here. This is your part. Not no melting pot like you have in America. Everybody, like you had the Cushites, they had their part. You had the Mizraimites, they had their part. You have the Israelites, you have the Ishmaelites, you had the Elamites. Everybody had their parts. So far, the first couple of lines, there's no beef with that. When the Most High divided the nations their inheritance, when he separated the sons of Adam, when he separated people, period, he set the bounds of the people. Now this is where this version, which is the King James Version, is totally messing up this verse. He set the bounds of the people according to the number of the children of Israel. This makes no sense at all. He set the bounds. So now I've seen a lot of people trying to, break this verse down. Most of the time what they'll do, they'll say, well, they'll read what it says. It says, he set the bounds of the people according to the number of the children of Israel. And then they just say this, but they'll stress the part that says, well, the Most High, he's a separatist. He believes in to separate people. And then they'll just read the last part. He set the bounds of the people according to the number of the children of Israel. They could never break it down. Because there's no way to break this verse down. There's no way to break this line down. He set the bounds of the people according to the number of the children of Israel. Now, to break this line down, you have to understand, okay, what is the number of the children of Israel? What is that number? I mean, what? 12 tribes? What does that mean? The amount of Israelite that was there, and then that was the boundary set for. There's no way to break this line down. So next time you want somebody to break this line down, make sure you ask them, pay attention to what are you saying about this line? There's no way. Because this line, there's no way to break it down. It makes no sense at all. And that's from the King James Version. That's probably the worst version, period, in the world. When you read the King James Version, you see why there are so many different Christian religion out there. First of all, it is written, translated in a very ambiguous way. Very. Second, it's used in a language we don't even use anymore. We're not even using this time. Most of them don't even understand the language. Third, there's a bunch of mistakes in it. There's a bunch of translations that makes no sense at all. So there's no way to break this thing down. Even if you put it upside down, he set the bounds of the people. He set the boundary of the nations, the other nations. Because a lot of people read this and say, look, in the beginning, in those days, there was only 18 heathen nations. The 18 nations. So there's no way to, okay, he set the bound of the 18 nations according to the numbers of the children of Israel. What does that mean? Nothing at all. Garbage. Now, when you read other versions, there's another version now that translated in a way where you can actually break it down in a way for it to make sense. If you read the CEB version, so one advice I gotta give people who trying to read the Bible: do not stick to just one version. You'll be confused because every version has problems. Every version has mistranslations. Every version has mistakes. So you gotta know what to take out of which version, or else you're gonna be bugged out. By the time you finish reading that one version you stick to, you're probably gonna act like a madman. One statement, they say, one so-called wise statement, they say, it's better for you not to read at all than to read a book and believe everything in that book. That's the worst thing you can do. It would have been better for you not to read at all and to go read a book and believe everything in the book. That's including in every version of the Bible. Every book's in the Bible. Every book's out there. If you go to the library, you go get a book and you read it, you believe everything in it, it's a dumb move. Like they always say, nobody's perfect. Nobody's gonna tell you everything. Everything ain't gonna be 100% true. Everything gonna be true according to that person's version, according to his mind. Everything I'm telling you right now is true according to what I believe. But I'm sure there are certain things I'm gonna be saying, or I've already said, or I'm saying, whatever it is. Maybe 5 years from now, I'm like, okay, let me fix this. I think I was wrong. I was a little bit wrong. Because that happened throughout the years. There are things I believed 10 years ago. I'm like, oh wow, how the hell did I believe in this? But I do my due diligence to try to read as much as possible, learn as much as possible, study as much as possible, try to know as much as possible. So when I teach people, to try to, give you a good percentage of truth at least. It may not be 100% true, everything, but I'm trying to give you a good percentage of truth. That's why I always say, I'm giving you a couple of clues so you can put them together, and now you can go and decipher the whatever puzzles that's puzzling you. So I'm not gonna say everything I'm saying is true. Only the Most High knows. The parts that I'm still ignorant to. I don't really know yet, but I'm still learning. So even the Bible, every book in the Bible, I don't care which book it is, I will not read one book of the Bible and believe everything in there. Because I read each book with critical thinking. I'm trying to see if it makes sense, especially the fact that I'm reading a bunch of books and different versions, and there's a lot of mistakes in those versions. So when I read it in one version, now I gotta go to see if it. I gotta analyze it, see if it follows the same context, and then I gotta compare it with other versions and see, okay, which one looks like is really the one that makes more sense, and then I gotta go to the Hebrew and still try to see if I can see something there. If I did speak Latin or Greek, I'll do the same thing. I'll go back to Latin and Greek. But but I speak Creole. I'll go to the Creole version, see if it makes sense. I'll compare it with the English and say which one is really making sense. Which one is just bugged out? Which one is that translator? Really didn't know what he was saying at all, or he was under some type of influence of some type of drug or something. So now, when you read that same verse in another version, the CEB version, Common English Bible, the CEB, it says, when the Most High divided up the nations, so far it's saying the same thing. When it's trying to tell you when the Most High divided the nations, when He divided up humankind, He decided the people's boundaries based on the number of the gods. This is not 100% accurate, but it's way better than the other one. At least with the last line, you can try to come up with something, trying to understand it. The other one, according to the number of the children of Israel, that makes no sense at all. Based on the numbers of the gods. Now there are two breakdown for this verse, what they think it's talking about. One group of people think it's saying He decided when He divided up humankind, He divided the people's boundary based on the numbers of the, not decided, He divided the people's boundary. No, He decided the people's boundaries based on the numbers of the gods. So one version, they think each nation had a god, and then the Most High, say, okay, all you got a god. So if there's 70 gods, that's 70 nations, and each nation had a god to worship. I can see where they got that thing from. When you read the book of Daniel, you'll see something that sounds like that, where Daniel talking about, when Michael, who's the angel for the nation of Israel, when he was trying to do something, and then there was another angel, the Persians people's angel was trying to stop him. Well, the book of Daniel, that's one book. Certain books, I can see a couple of mistakes in there. The book of Daniel is a book where if you had a fire, you just throw it in there. That's it. Don't even try to understand it. It's straight up garbage. I can do a whole video on this and totally dismantle the book of Daniel. Well, first of all, it wasn't written by no Daniel. That's the first thing. No real Daniel, no Daniel in the Bible. So it was written by other people who use the name Daniel, but they, trying to teach their garbage. Well, the book of Daniel, it's all spooky. It's voodoo. You got these people in the fire, then you see the fourth guy that looks like Jesus in there, and then Daniel came way before Jesus, and then there was a guy that looked like Jesus in there, and next to the three dudes in the fire. That was Christian people who wrote that thing and trying to make it look like it was written all the way back then. So that's a book you can just totally put in the fire. When you see Daniel's calling angels by names, you got Michael, you got this, that's not according to the Tanakh. You're not supposed to know no name of no angels. The same way the Most High, the so-called God in the Tanakh doesn't want you to have no form for Him. No picture, no image, or nothing, no statue, no nothing for Him. He doesn't want you to have no names of no angels, because if you did know the name of an angel, he knows exactly what you're going to do. You're going to worship it. So the Daniel, that's just angel worship book. You might as well put that in the garbage. So for those who see that line is saying he divided the people's boundary based on the number of the gods, and those gods represent angels, and each nation has a god to worship, to protect them, even if they're not worshiping them, to protect them. That's a lie. That's not what this is saying. So now the second way of looking at this thing, when he said the word gods, we know God in the Bible, for those of us who know, you can look at it two ways. Either referring to God in so-called heaven. It's also a word, the word Elohim also is used for people that are in power on earth. Because there's a part in the law that says, thou shalt not revile the gods of your people, referring to the leaders of your people. So this God over here, when the Most High, basically what it's saying, when the Most High, when Yahweh, when he divided the people, each nation had their own God, meaning leader that started that nation. And the reason I brought this up, because I already talked about eponymous ancestor. That's what an eponymous ancestor is. Somebody that his name was given to the people that came after him. And then like Israel, Israelites. Ishmael, Ishmaelites. Romulus, Romans. And so forth. Mizraim, Mizraimites. Cush, Cushites. This is an eponymous ancestor, but those other nations, they worship their eponymous ancestors, because the heathen, like I said, the heathen gods, they all believe in deified people, just like voodoo, just like the Egyptian religion. All their pharaohs consider themselves gods, and people worship them. The Sumerians, you had Nimrod, a knucklehead, where people worship him as a god. And that's how you have Christmas. So the heathen religion, all of the heathen religion, they believe in deifying people. All of them. I'm not saying half of them. I'm not speaking in general. I'm saying all of them. ALL. They all believe in that. But all those heathen, when the Most High, to start them as a nation, each of these dudes were given a land. Let's say the sons of Ham had like 4 sons. Each son was given a territory for them to start. And then they had their kids, and then all those kids were named after those sons. But those heathen, all of those first fathers, those first God fathers, those gods that fathered those nations, they could have been worshiping the Most High in the beginning, but eventually all those heathen gods became ignorant of the Most High. They started some astrology religion. I don't know what is the obsession with human beings with worshiping the sun, the stars, the moon, snakes, dogs, cats, fictitious things that don't exist. What is the obsession? Every religion, that's all they're doing. If I know 100 people, most likely 98 of them, if they're not following Most High's laws, the Tanakh, at least 98 of them, is following some type of astrology religion without knowing that they're doing that. You know, and two of them may still searching, trying to find out what's going on here. And may say, well, I don't know about the guy Jesus. I don't know about Buddha. I don't know about that Haile Selassie guy. But I'm trying to find out what's going on here. You know, they're in the middle. They don't know what to. They don't know. They're confused, but they're still looking. Eventually, they start seeing something. The rest, they all following some astrological religion without knowing that they're doing that. And some of them do know. Some of them, they worship these things like in voodoo. They do believe that there's a dude in some big fish guy in the water named Dumbala, and they worship worship this guy as a god. Some of them do know. They do worship some fictitious animal, or those who are in voodoo. They call themselves Boko, and they created something called a Baka, which is some funny little creature. And then that creature they use to do their whatever their bad biddings, whatever wickedness they want to do. So, some of them may have a snake in the house, and they worship that snake as if that snake is a god, gonna do something for them. So some do know. You know, maybe in Christianity, a lot of them don't know that they're worshiping some astrology thing. Some don't know because Christianity, most people that are Christians, they just, you know, they live their life in a simple way. They don't even read anything. They don't read. If they read, it's not really not to understand the Bible. Maybe they read something else. You know, and then they just go to church every Sunday. They just get spoon feed a little something. The pastor get, you know, they go there on Sunday and they sit down for a long time. This pastor talking and talking and talking. They fall asleep. They wake up. The guy's still talking, and they fall asleep again. They wake up, and then the guy just told them a whole story about something that has nothing to do with the Bible, nothing at all. Some story about his life. You know, whatever his life or somebody else's life. Has nothing to do with the Bible, and then they do that every Sunday. So their mind is not there to learn the Bible. Their mind is just there just to learn gossip. A grown man just standing in front of a bunch of people, just gossiping and gossiping and gossiping and gossiping about something. You know, and while half of the people fall asleep. And then by the time they wake up, it's time for them to leave. Because a lot of them don't even want to be there. It's just that they really scared. They don't want to go to hell. So they have to go to church and take the abuse for no reasons. Take the abuse because they think that's the way that they will not go to hell. But they just go in and then they got to pay the pastor their own money that they work hard for. And a lot of them, they even broke. They don't even have the money to give to the pastor. You know, if I know somebody, and I know you're going to church, you asking me money to give to church, I would rather burn that money. If you need help for yourself, is one thing. But me, I'm going to work hard. I'm going to give it to a pimp, a pastor, a priest, or one of these guys, or imam, or any of these guys. That's not happening. So if I'm not going to do it for myself, do not ask me for money so you can give to your church. Besides, the money you give to your church is money that so-called God should have blessed you with, that you work for. So the money that I work for, please do not give to your pastor, your priest, don't even give him $1. Because if I'm there, I'm going to take it back. That pimp can get a job. I'm not going to go work hard and then I got to give him 10%. One thing with church, these bastards, I always ask them, okay, you said Jesus said you don't have to follow the law anymore. So you can eat pork, all you gotta do is pray on it, and you're good. You can eat whatever, you can do whatever. So you don't have to follow the laws anymore. Even the 10 Commandments, though they say the 10 Commandments, when you really analyze the whole 10 Commandments, I don't know if they even following 5 of it. 5 out of 10. Because the first 4 had to do with the Most High. If you're following Jesus, you already break the 4. Don't have no name, don't have no other God but me, but you got Jesus and some ghosts. Don't take my name in vain. You don't even know his name. So you're not even following that. So you can take it in vain without even knowing. Remember the Sabbath, what Sabbath? So they're not even following that, or whatever the fourth one is. And then when you go down the other 6, they're barely keeping half of the other 6. It says don't covet. A lot of them, they got all type of jealousy. They see people got stuff, they want it. No commit adultery. You know how many pastors that's sleeping with women in church that belong to other men? Whatever the Lord says. So if you teaching, don't follow the law, because Jesus said we couldn't follow the law. That's why he died for us. Why are you going to go into the law of the Bible, the Tanakh law, and take the one that you like, the tithe one, the one that everybody come and pay tithe for? But all the others you don't have to follow. But the one that say, well, bring money, yeah, that's very convenient for the pastor to say, look, you guys better bring tithe. But the other laws you don't have to follow. You can bring all of them. But the tithe, you gotta bring it. If you don't bring it, you're gonna get kicked out the church. So why are they gonna go to 613 laws? They're gonna say, well, all 613, don't worry about them. The first 612, don't worry about them. But the tithe, you know how many pastors I asked that too? And then I've heard so many different excuses. Well, I understand what you're saying. They're not supposed to do it, but I don't agree with it. But I still go to church anyway. I should still go and support them. They're my friends. Why even going there? These people are robbing people, stealing people's money. If I had a friend I know that's robbing people, stealing people's money, you think I'm going to go to his church, to whatever he's into, to even give him any idea that I'm down with that garbage, that BS that he's doing? I'll be the first one to say, look, why even stealing the people's money? If you're going to tell them to follow the law, why they have to follow tithe? Why that one? How about you pick another one? Pick another law. How about you pick the law on pork? Say, okay, don't eat pork. At least pick that one. Why is it's the money one you have to pick? And people cannot see. People really cannot see there's something wrong here. Why you choose the money one? That makes no sense. But people still go there. They be the first one to say, look, we don't have to follow the law. Why are you paying tithe? So in that case, do not give that guy even $1. Don't even give him 50 cents. If you don't have to follow the law, why you gotta follow the money law? I mean, if I was a pastor, if I was a pimp, I was a thief like this, yeah, I would want you to follow that law too. I mean, yeah, money. If I was a pimp like this, a thief like this, of course I would want you to, come and bring me money, so I can live good. What do you see? A bunch of pastors. What do you see how they live? You see how they live? You got that Joel Osteen, whatever, that demon, whatever his name is. Yeah, you see how he live. He got jets. He got millions. He didn't work for these things. These are the people's money. That's a thief. All of them, they're a bunch of thieves. They live in lodge. But I don't know if I can blame them. It's just a bunch of idiots bringing them their money, their hard-earned money. I wish I could convince them to give me the money instead. You're gonna give it to a thief? Well, I'm not a thief, but if you give it to me, I think that's better than give it to a thief. But anyway, that was Deuteronomy 32, verse 4. Hopefully, those of you listening, you can go back and reanalyze 32 and 8 to see if I'm making any sense. So with the point I just made, the eponymous ancestor, even in voodoo, they have something similar, where a dead guy somewhat of an eponymous ancestor, although the name they didn't call themselves after the name, but at least that God becomes something big throughout voodoo, wherever it is, wherever it is in the world. You have this guy named Bawan Samji. This guy in voodoo, any cemetery you have, the first person that dies and you bury that person there, that person is the Bawan Samji. And that Bawan Samji, he's the god of the cemetery. So anytime somebody dies and you go and bury that person in that cemetery, that person supposedly has to go to Bawan Samji first after they die, for Bawan Samji to admit them in that cemetery. Because since he was the first guy that died there, he becomes the leader of that cemetery. That is Hades. That is Osiris. That is the exact same thing. The god of hell, Hades. Supposedly he lives in hell, and then he's a leader there. You go to hell, according to the Greek, you gotta go meet with Hades. And according to the Egyptian, it's the same garbage. You gotta go meet with Osiris. You know, because he's the guy that died there, and then he became the god of according to the Egyptians, of the underworld, which is still hell. According to the Greeks, of Hades, of hell. According to voodoo, the Haitians who follow that thing, and all those people on the west coast of Africa who follow that voodoo thing, Bawan Samji, he's the god of the cemetery. And then that guy is the first person that died and they buried in that cemetery. Wherever the cemetery is, whatever cemetery, wherever it is. For example, if I start a cemetery in my backyard and somebody dies, I bury him there. Now he becomes a god of all the other people that's gonna be buried there. He's the guy that they gotta go see. So in voodoo, those people who believe in voodoo, they believe that now if they trying to, a voodoo priest trying to zombify somebody, turn them to a zombie, first they poison him with some garbage, and then he go get buried somewhere. The voodoo priest gotta go there in order for him to raise him up. He has to call on Bawan Samji first, and Bawan Samji gotta give him the green light or the red light. Green light say, okay, I'll let you raise that person. I'll raise that person up, from death, bring him back to life for you. Or they'll say, no, that's not happening. Let that person stay dead. That's the same Greek Hades garbage, Osiris garbage, and I guess a Sumerian in hell. It was Inanna's sister that was, or at least that one, not a female. Inanna's sister, or Ishtar, which is the same evil woman, or Ezeli in voodoo. But in the voodoo part, never heard that Ezeli was in hell. So I guess they kind of changed the story a little bit. It's Bawan Samji was doing that part, but in the Sumerian thing, when Inanna went to hell, it was his sister who was the goddess of the underworld. Now, one last thing I'm going to say, and then, one last thing I want to say. One quick comparison I want to make with the Tanakh so-called God and the heathen God, the heathen gods. I'm still using the word God. I already break down. After more than an hour, I already broke down. The word God. So that's why I'm still saying so-called God. All of the heathen gods, according to the heathen religions, all the heathen gods are present. They all somewhere to be found. They all, when people call on them, they there to help. And all the heathen feel like they have some type of connection with their gods because their gods is there for them. For example, Christianity. They say, oh, Jesus, loves me, and Jesus, when I call on Jesus, he's there. They all feel, all the heathen feel their God's presence. The ones who believe in voodoo, they feel like, well, when I call on Ezeli help me. When I call on Ogu Filai, he helps me. When I call on his wife, which is, you got Ogun in the African language, but in Haitian, we just say Ogu, which is the same person. One thing I read in books that says Ogun, according to the Africans in West Coast Africa, Ogun has a wife named Osun. But in Haiti, I never heard, Ogun had a wife named Osun. So I guess a lot of Haitians don't even know. So I'm like, wow, I never heard of this. So I guess, and the African religion in the West Coast of Africa, where they practice voodoo, I guess they know that Ogun got a wife. I guess somehow the Haitians are supposed to know voodoo very well. I never heard of that. Never heard. I guess a lot of Haitians don't even know Ogu got a wife named Osu, which is Ogun, Osun. So since Haitians say Ogu, so I guess the wife would be Osu. I never heard of this. So the point is, all the heathen who has a religion, all the heathens who have a religion, they all feel the presence of their gods. Now, let me compare it with the God of the so-called God of the Tanakh now. Those of us who really follow the Tanakh and read it and try to understand, one thing you should see, and I'm not talking about the Christians. The Christians, they already feel Jesus. They already feel like Jesus is with them. When they call on Jesus, they're hungry, Jesus come and feed them. They're in the hospital, Jesus come and heal them. Whatever they're doing, they walking down the street, somebody's trying to slap them, they pray to Jesus, and Jesus right there to help them. They all feel that Jesus' presence is right there. Not the Most High presence, at least Jesus. So all the heathen feel like they're God's presence. But those of us who read the Tanakh and really understand the Tanakh, we know the God of the Tanakh, the so-called God of the Tanakh, his presence hasn't been on earth for over 25,000 years. 2,500 years. If those of you who really analyze the Tanakh, when I say the Tanakh, the so-called Old Testaments, you'll see that the so-called God of the Tanakh, his presence is not on earth at all. Because first he gave the nation of Israel his laws. He said he established a law in Israel and Jacob, and give a law in Israel and the other nations that they don't know him. That's what it says in the book of Psalm. That he established that Psalm 147 verse 19. He showeth his word unto Jacob, his statutes unto Israel. He had not dealt so with any nations. As for his judgments, they have not known them. So that's what it says in Psalm 147, verse 19. So the Most High, he gave his laws to the nation of Israel. But the heathen who follow the stars, the moon, and it, he said, I never dealt with them. Them, they don't know me. I don't know them. Whatever. They follow the sun, the moon, the stars. They follow Jesus. They follow Ogu. They follow They follow Azali, they follow Osiris, they follow Adonis, they follow Mithra, they follow Buddha, they follow all these characters, all these dead characters. But as far as the nation of Israel, he said, look, I give them the laws. And then later on he said, when you read the story, the nation of Israel, they became rebellious and they gave the Most High the middle finger. They said, look, I'm not following your laws. And then what happened? Bad things happened. And then it says in the book of Hosea, Moses said, look, your people, since you're not listening to me, I'm out. And he left. He said in the book of Hosea 5 verse 15, I will go and return to my place until they acknowledge their offense and seek my face. In their affliction, they will seek me early. So this is the time when the Most High said, look, you guys say F me, well, I'm saying F you too. Listen, in fact, I'm out. I'm going to go back to my place. Wherever I'm from, heaven, wherever my throne is, well, you know, other earthly body has, he got other business to take care. He said, well, you say F me, I'm saying F you too. And I'm out. And it's been over 2,500 years since the Most High presence, the so-called God of the Old Testament, of the Tanakh, said, look, I'm out. And he said, you know, until they change and come back to me, I'm out. But the Most High said, well, in their affliction, they will seek me early. Well, obviously, it's been more than 2,500 years. I guess these people, they're not feeling the affliction. The affliction. You know, whatever affliction they have, I guess they say, oh, don't worry about it. I'm still going to worship my stuff, whatever it is. I'm not going back to this guy. So the Most High's presence hasn't been on earth since that time. So me being here, I'm not teaching you, come follow me because I got God for you. Well, not God. I don't believe in God. I got the Most High for you. I got Yah for you. That's not what I'm doing. You know, but the scripture does say after the nation of Israel leave the Most High, if in those days they were to wake up and repent and come back to the Most High, and King Solomon did a prayer when he dedicated the temple after it was built. He said, well, when they find themselves in those lands and then everything is upside down for them, so if they remember the Most High's law and they want to repent, they want to come back, all they gotta do is pray toward the house, the temple, and the Most High will pardon them. Well, King Solomon asked the Most High to pardon them, and then, you know, everything will be back to normal. But it's been more than 2,500 years. I guess that hasn't happened yet. You know, so I mean, it's very obvious though. For the past 2,500 years, even around our time, there has been a lot of affliction going on. Because the Most High said, in their affliction, they will seek me early. You know, but they haven't been afflicted that much yet. They so low, they don't even know. They don't even know that who they are. Because the Most High said he was going to cast them out the land. They were going to be scattered throughout the whole world. So which means the people that's in the land right now are not those Israelites. They definitely, the Most High's presence is definitely not in that land over there. These people has nothing to do with the nation of Israel. These people don't even have anything to do with Adam. The Adam that was there 6,000 years ago. So imagine the nation of Israel. They have nothing to do with nobody that came from Adam. Whether it was the Canaanites, Cushites, these people, they'll tell you a different type of species created by, I guess, the Most High, maybe a long time ago, but they have nothing to do with Adam. But they live in the land of Israel right now. But the real Israelites, the Most High say, look, me, I'm out. I'm going to cast you guys out the land. Strangers going to be in the land. Until you guys come back, you guys going to be afflicted. And these Israelites, descendants of those Israelites, that are in those other religions, they are afflicted. But because they believe in those other gods so much, they don't see the affliction. They think that's a normal thing. They following Jesus, but they broke as hell. Their life is so bad. But in their mind, well, I got Jesus though. They think Jesus is helping them. And all type of things happen to them. But in their mind, well, Jesus helping me, Buddha's helping me, or whatever other thing they're following, or Haile Selassie, Allah's helping me. Although their life could be very miserable. So one thing it's showing me, these gods in this world that these people are worshiping, while they're still being afflicted, while there's nothing but affliction in the world. Any of them, at any day, they can just walk into a store or a train, they get shot, and they're dead. And then the other people in their church congregation and their religion, they will not start thinking like, oh wow, I thought Jesus was supposed to protect that person. What happened? Then they'll have to make up some theories like, okay, maybe the person was doing some bad thing. They'll see a bunch of them inside the so-called World Trade Center, and the whole building just got destroyed. Boom, boom, boom. And they all died. And a lot of them were Christians. None of them will think, oh wow, what happened here? Where was Jesus? Where was Buddha? Where was Krishna? Where was Mithra? Where was Osiris? I don't know if some people still worshiping Hercules. Where was Hercules? I'm sure there was some Haitians in there. Well, the Haitian is a totally different story. I don't even need to say the one that died in World Trade Center. Look at what's happening in Haiti. Earthquake, hundreds of thousands of them dying. Where was Ogu? Where was Ezeli? Those gods their presence is supposed to be here. They're supposed to be helping people. How the hell are they watching their people die? How Jesus sitting here watching Christian dying? You know how many Christians that get shot? How many Christians that die of a bunch of things? How many Muslims that die of some explosions, some gunshots, some whatever it is? Where was Allah when Malcolm X got shot? Where was Allah? He was supposed to be worshiping Allah. Where was Allah? Where was Jesus when Martin Luther King got shot? Nobody's really paying attention to things like this. So these gods, their presence is supposed to be on earth, helping people. Why people are dying like this and their gods, it's not, all of them that died, it's not all of them that wasn't following some Jesus. Then they're going to come up with some excuses. Well, real Jesus wanted me to die, to come sit up there. No, he did not. That's a lie. No, you just got shot. That's it. You just died. That's it. Jesus didn't help you. So it seems to me, the so-called God of the Bible, he said, look, my presence is not here. So if anything happened to you, it had nothing to do with me. Because I've been mad because of what these people did to me. So if something happens to you, so me, I do pray, hoping, I get help. But if I don't get help, I do understand, like, his presence is not here. I'm hoping one of those days his presence come back. But until then, I definitely know these other gods' presence is definitely not here. Because I'm watching all these people. I'm watching what's happening to these people that worship, that follow those dumb gods that they follow. I'm watching what's happening to them. And they quick to say, well, I'm saved. Jesus is, Jesus helping me. Jesus protecting me. Jesus watching me. Allah's watching me. Buddha's watching me. All the other dead people, whatever creatures, spirits back then that already died. They all worship. They all, watching me, protecting me. No, they not. It's like the other day I was watching this show, Sonetta. This guy was oozing an atheist, not knowing that, I think one of them asked, not asked, one say, I'm going to break down the word atheist to you. Atheist is what was his definition? It's somebody who don't believe in God. Atheist is somebody who don't believe in Zeus. That's what the word literally means. From theos. A theist is somebody who believes in Zeus, because when the word was created by the Greeks, the only God they acknowledged was Zeus. So atheist doesn't mean somebody who don't believe in God. The word God, Zeus didn't even know the word God. So in Zeus, the Greeks, not Zeus didn't know the word God. The Greeks didn't know the word God. Every word they had for so-called God goes back to Zeus. Like I said before, if you trace back the word Dios, that goes back to Zeus. Dios, Zeus. Theos, Zeus again. Deity, Zeus again. So atheist is somebody who don't believe in Zeus. Well, I'm definitely an atheist. I definitely don't believe in Zeus. I believe in the Most High. Yeah, I definitely don't believe in Zeus. So I would like to hear somebody tell me that my definition of the word atheist is wrong. The Greek invented the word atheist. They don't want every languages that has a word for so-called God. That's like Dieu in French, Dios in Spanish, or whether Latin. They all goes back to Zeus, and that's it. So people who speak French or Spanish, when they go pray to Dios, you praying to Zeus. That's it. You're not praying to. Well, you don't mind praying to Zeus anyway. He's been dead. I don't know whether even Zeus is something the Greeks stole from the Egyptians, from Osiris, and Osiris stole it from the Sumerians. Sumerian probably started that garbage from the head. That's probably there was never a guy named Tammuz. I don't know if that was really Nimrod's son. Like they say, after Nimrod died, his wife got pregnant by Nimrod just from the son. If that's the same thing that happened to Mary, she got pregnant in some crazy way. If I was Joseph, I'd be like, you gotta go. You and the ghost, both of you gotta go. So after Nimrod's died, and then his wife said, well, I got pregnant by him, from the sun. The sun just shined down on me, and I got pregnant. It's the same garbage with Osiris. With Osiris after he died, and then his wife Isis gathered all the body parts together, and then they brought she with her voodoo, her witchcraft, she brought him back to life. But the only thing is, his body was cut in like 42 pieces, and she found all the pieces together and put them together, but she didn't find the penis. And then without a penis, he was still able to get her pregnant. The only people that's gonna believe that, you gotta be drunk. You gotta be drunk, high, and some other stuff. There's no way somebody gonna tell you a story like this, and so you mean to tell me, so let's say my wife, so you mean to tell me you got pregnant by a guy with no penis? Let's say I come home, she's pregnant, she says some crazy god, some Egyptian god got me pregnant. I'm like, who? Osiris. I'm like, he doesn't even have a penis. How did he get you pregnant? So it's the same thing with the Mary story. How did the ghost got you pregnant? Joseph should have known that she was just some hoe hoeing around. It wasn't no ghost. It was some dude. It was the neighbor with Tammuz, with Nimrod's wife. It wasn't no Nimrod that went and died and went to the sun and got her pregnant. It was the neighbor. She was just hoeing around. With ISIS, it's the same thing. So these people, these religion, got these people believing all type of fornication, doing all type of hoeing stuff, and then they're gonna blame it on after they go hoeing around, they get pregnant, they're gonna blame it on some ghost. Well, that's all I'm gonna say with this. Until next time, those of you who saw a few of my videos, if you like them, you can return a little love by pressing the button to like it, to subscribe, or anything else. But those of you who don't feel like doing that, more power to you too, But at least enjoy the information I'm dropping, and you can always go back and go read some more to verify what I'm saying, to see if they make sense or if I'm lying, whatever. But whatever you believe in, that's your belief. That's what makes you feel good. There's nothing I can tell you. But those of you who wanna be reasonable and listen to what I'm saying and trying to go and search them out and see if this guy, these things this guy's saying, are they really true, or maybe he's just one of those. Maybe he's drunk. Well, I am not drunk. I don't look drunk. I don't think so. And I'm not high. I don't smoke weed, so I'm good. All right, until next time. Shalom.